Hello YouTube, how's your drought going? So you reckon? Well, let's have a look and see what the figures say. Here we have 17 years worth of rainfall records, month by month, with 3 years of calendars that I couldn't find in the stash. From 2002 to 2019. And as you can see, for the past 2 years, the averages have been really disastrously down. But a big slab of numbers like that is not particularly easy to stumble, and that's why they invented graphs. Top blue line is the highest monthly rainfall for the average of the 14 years that we have figures for. In the green, we have the average monthly rainfall for that month for 14 years. In the red, we have 2018's actual monthly figures. The bottom blue line is the lowest monthly figure for that month over the past 17 years, or the 14 years that we have the figures for. And then bluey purple, we have 2019. So as you can see, 2018 January started well below average. January 2019 was the same as January 2018, but 2018 we started off a much better baseline. In March 2019 we actually reached average rain for the month. But January and February and April and May and June and July this year, we're way down. August, we're still way down. Last year, things actually sort of improved. In July, we had above average rain. In August, we had above average rain. In September, we had average rain. At the moment, this year is looking considerably worse than last year. Because, yeah, we had a peak there, but we haven't got this peak. So whether we're going to come up along here somewhere, or whether we're destined to play around down here for the rest of the year, I don't know. It's a matter of some conjecture. There are people who say there's good rain coming in maybe March, maybe May. Other people say it'll be in March, maybe May 2021. September's starting off pretty hot. 21 for the first, 22 for the second, 24 for the third. Today's the 4th of September and it's 24 degrees. And there's a fair bit of wind in the trees. One weather station says the humidity is too low to measure. The other weather station says it's 23%. I haven't done any recent temperature comparisons, but this is 2 December's 2007 during the Millenial Drought, and we missed out on 8.9% of our rainfall for the whole year. 2018, the Barnaby Drought terminal drought, when we missed out on 34.3% of our rain. So Barnaby's drought was 385% drier than Tony Windsor's drought, and 14.75% hotter The blue range are your maximum minimum temperatures for December 2007. Your red ranges are your maximum minimum ranges for December 2019. 3 degrees over 11 years. And Glen Innes is one of the few towns which has not already run out of water. We're only on level 3 restrictions at this point. Aren't we lucky? And as they say, you make your own luck. This is what the local newspaper had to say. August 29, 2019. We knew water crisis was coming. Group says report ignored. Tamworth, Glen Innes and Tenterfield were identified as at risk of running out of water in a draft report issued by the Department of Primary Industry 6 years ago, according to a Green Group. The Assuring Future Urban Water Security Report, completed in December 2013, shows the state government knew climate change would reduce, quote, secure yield for those towns by as much as 29% by 2030. New South Wales Nature Conservation Council Policy and Research Coordinator Jack Goff said towns like Guyra and Tamworth were now suffering exactly the sort of crisis that the draft report predicted. It was an alarm bell for the government, he said. The government knew that climate change was going to have an impact on secure water yields for towns and did nothing. And in fact, they did worse than nothing. He said the reason was simple: an ideological belief that climate change wasn't real. This is the National Party's climate change denialism having a direct human cost. They had advice provided to them that climate change is going to reduce water availability to towns, especially because we're going to get more droughts in some of these areas. The Murray-Darling Basin area, which includes the New England, is currently suffering its worst ever drought, and towns like Guyra, Tenterfield and even Tamworth are running out of water. Walgett, identified as another at-risk local government area, has had no water for months. The 2013 draft report provided advice that towns ought to store enough water for a 1,000-year drought and be able to ride out a 120-year drought. That means 1 in a 1,000-year drought. It means 1 in 120-year drought. Andrew, the nominative deterministic messenger, is but a pup. Very young he is. Sometimes his editor just omits words in order to save space too. Ought to be able to store enough water for a 1 in a 1,000-year drought and be able to ride out a 1 in a 120-year drought with just moderate restrictions. In recommending a more conservative attitude to storage, the report also said existing supply in a number of identified towns would not be able to achieve that given the likely impact of climate change. A spokesperson for the Department of Planning, Industry and Environment said all local councils and water utility providers in regional New South Wales had adopted the guidelines in the draft report into their future strategic planning. Quote, the secure yield modelling that guided the report also helps inform the New South Wales State Infrastructure Strategy process in guiding the water needs of infrastructure investment throughout regional New South Wales, unquote, the spokesperson said. The New South Wales Government is investing in infrastructure projects to support water security via its $1 billion Safe and Secure Water Program. This ensures regional New South Wales communities have access to high-quality, reliable and affordable water that meets modern environmental and health standards. Armidale Mayor Simon Murray said when Malpas Dam dropped below 60% in Christmas 2014, it should have been a wake-up call. You'd hope something would have been done, unquote, he said. You'd hope that people would have realised that the consequences of a serious drought. They'd already been warned on it. You'd hope they would have taken some action on it. Nothing was done from then to now, even to try and look at conserving water, whether it be from getting people to conserve water at home or looking at management structures like raising the wall at that time. One town that did was Glen Innes, which used state government money and council investment to develop an off-stream water storage called the Irindi Ponds, and the town was able to ward off level 2 water restrictions until July. Minister and local MP Adam Marshall said he'd never even heard of the report in an interview in Glen Innes. That would be bracket recently. But ultimately, he said, providing water was up to councils. They're the local water utility, he said. Okay, so this is the National Party's climate change denialism having a direct cost. The reason was simple, an ideological belief that climate change wasn't real. Local Member of Parliament, Minister for AggroKulture, Adam Marshall, National Party member, providing waters up to local councils. They're the local water utility. Nothing to do with the New South Wales state government. And if your local council was in the grip of the National Party, then you sung the party song, you towed the party line, and you didn't spend any money on augmenting your water supply, because that would mean you believed in global warming. And that's not party policy. That's not the vibe of the National Party. They think if they just look back to the way things used to be and wait for it to come good again, then the drought will end when it rains. If it rains. Because, honey bun, chickens. This all sort of has the look of a tipping point, oh, a tipping point, oh, a tipping point has already gone. Tipping point, oh, tipping point. Tipping point is a long time gone. Welcome to the new normal. For extra added bonus fun, 6 years ago, the Assuring Future Urban Water Security Report, completed in December 2013, shows the state government knew climate change would reduce secure yield for those towns by as much as 29% by 2030. That's what they said 6 years ago about what it would be like 17 years into what was then the future. Last year, 2018, my rainfall had dropped 34.7%. Down on the average secure water yield, and it wasn't supposed to get that bad till 2030. Tipping point, oh, tipping point, we're ahead of the curve. Back in the 1980s, they said it wouldn't be this bad until about 2050, 2080. So right now, we are well ahead of the curve. I thought I was probably going to be dead of old age before it got to be where we're at now. I suppose the only thing that can save us in the short term will be if Greenland sheds its ice sheet. Because when that goes plop, sea level comes up by 6 metres, and every deep water port and container terminal in the world will require scuba gear to access. The much vaunted global village will implode with a sudden cessation of international trade. And perhaps, maybe, there might be sufficient of the biosphere remaining for the Earth to repair itself after industrial civilization is put back in its box, Pandora's box, from which all good things and every horror has emerged, and the last thing at the bottom of the box is hope. What do you reckon about that hypothesis? Eh? How do you like that one? Based upon the evidence, of course.